Hey everybody, this is Phantom139 and welcome back to my thoughts series on Destiny 2. This is the State of Destiny 2 series that I've been working with. As I mentioned in the previous video, this is going to be a quick hot takes video that's the midway through Season 10. Just to kind of give my updates on where the season has moved since the previous video, and my thoughts on moving forward. So just a quick recap. In March, I hit the critical points of Season 9 and the launch for Season 10. This covered sandbox adjustments and my closing thoughts on the overall flow of Season 9, including both the high and low points of the season. Unfortunately, many of the flaws for both Seasons 8 and 9 appear to have carried over into Season 10, along with some new issues which I brought up in the March video. If you remember, I did give a pretty low rating of 3 out of 10 for the launch of Season 10, matching the rating I gave Season of the Drifter at its launch, which prompted the May 2019 video. So the question now is, has anything moved in the positive direction since that launch? So, Season 10 update. The short answer, unfortunately, is no. This season, in my opinion, is still a disaster for the game as a whole. I brought this point up multiple times in the Bungie forums and on the Reddit, but the so-called season of competition with a PvP focus would be a disaster for the game, and lo and behold, take a look at the Bungie forums and the Reddit. Both have been roasting in the everlasting flames of salt and hatred since the launch week of the season. I feel like this season has taken away the focus of the endgame PvE player way too much, with numerous major flaws that go against the very definitions that Bungie themselves defined. We're effectively repeating the mistakes of the transition from the Taken King to the April update, as well as the Age of Triumph update to Vanilla D2. This was the quote-unquote casualification of the game, and this once more seems to be pushed to the forefront at a time that really needs much more of a reinforcement of the endgame, a reinforcement of the element of those endgame grinds and long-term pursuits that drive repetitive engagement with the game. Bungie has continued to refuse to acknowledge some of these major flaws that have been developed since Season 8, although the recent TWAB seems to be suggesting that an update on many of these will be coming. I don't think I'm going to do another video on these, I'll just let the TWAB explain it for itself. The major issue, however, is that the turnaround time on these major flaws has been completely atrocious for a AAA game developer and something that many should see as unacceptable. The bunker public event Lost Sector loop is still dull and boring, even with the mid-season switch of the public event. Once you max out your bunkers, you're done in terms of PvE for the season. Hang up your cults, folks. If you're done with everything, you've earned your almighty title, you're done until June 9th. There's nothing else for you to do. So that's pretty much the big, thoughts on where things are at right now. So now we're going to shift topics into the individual sections of the game. First and foremost, let's talk about the Grandmaster Nightfall ordeal. This is what the main part of this video is going to be driven by. As I mentioned back in the March video, when Grandmaster came out, I would do this video, and sure enough, here we are. So, the introduction of the new Grandmaster Strike difficulty released. This was pushed by Bungie as their answer to a lack of in-game PvE content for the season. So, that drives the question, is this good enough? No. If you thought the state of PvE was bad before, go ahead and run one of these bad boys. Season 10's champion mods basically lock your team to the use of Ariana's Vow, unless you feel frisky enough to challenge a champion in close war combat that can instantly kill you by sneezing at you. Additionally, Bungie straight up fabricated one of their key points of the Grandmaster difficulty when they said it was meant to be taken slowly, as you're effectively locked to 45 minutes for completion, otherwise you're kicked out. Speaking of key points, watchable Bungie? Are you kidding me? Why are we making the game for streamers? Community hatred for streamers is at an all-time high right now. Why on earth would you be pushing this further? In terms of the rewards, don't even bother, folks. Bungie did literally what I thought they would do when I made my last video. The rewards are laughable and literally nothing to write home about. If you're playing Grandmaster for rewards, you're literally wasting your time. I understand that some people like these Dark Souls challenge level activities, but the fact of the matter is that this is an RPG game with looter elements, and there's no loot. There's nothing new or unique tied to these strikes. Grandmaster needed to be the redeeming factor for the season in terms of the endgame, and Bungie, you failed. It's done. Next up, we have to talk about Pinnacle drops and the "what the hell are you thinking, Bungie?" I made this comment back when Season 10 launched, and unfortunately this has now come to fruition. Bungie said that they would be moving 4 non-Pinnacle activity rewards to Pinnacle Power. This included Crucible, Gambit Strikes, and Clan rewards. This was an absolutely terrible design decision that is completely going against the very nature of the Pinnacle gear creation with Shadowkeep. To quote Luke Smith from last year's Director's Cut, in addition to curating the list of powerful sources, Shadowkeep will also introduce Pinnacle powerful sources. These sources are the only way to earn gear drops above Power 950 in Season 8. He goes on to say, Pinnacle reward sites can award players power above 950. This is a way of reclaiming a bit of the character power prestige that the initial D1 power climb created. If you inspect a player and see the gear is 960, you know they've done a bunch of Pinnacle activities. This most recent update slashed out that whole notion of prestige completion by allowing 4 non-Pinnacle activity sources to award Pinnacle gear. While Bungie's direction was this as a means to tame the bad RNG drops, there was a much better way to accomplish this, one I showed back in December, folks. Once again, I suggested a targeted loot system that would use these same Pinnacle activities along with old Pinnacle activities, raids, dungeons, and old Pinnacle level challenges, flawless raids, to eliminate bad RNG by allowing a direct targeting of specific slots that players needed to hunt. This would have fixed 2 major issues at the same time, the bad RNG problem, and the problem of old content being irrelevant in a time where more relevant content is needed. By allowing Pinnacle items to be earned in non-Pinnacle activities, you have all but eliminated the need for these activities completely. This was a terrible design decision, and one that unfortunately has ruined the pursuit of Pinnacle gear for the remainder of this year, and eliminated the prestige of having Pinnacle power. If this was the intention, Bungie, then you might as well go back to how power progression worked in Year 2, because now there is 0 point to any of the Pinnacle activities you have in the game other than granting additional drops. I cannot stress this enough, Bungie. You need to stop listening to the vocal minority. There was no reason to make this change. Next up, we have to talk about Trials, since I suppose this is really the only other thing to talk about here. And no surprise, folks, I predicted this would crash and burn, and the population has already dropped 40% from the first week. Cheating and hacking is rampant on PC, disconnects have been rampant on all 3 platforms, rewards are completely flawed, and low skill engagement is tanked because high skill players are just stomping them out of the playlist. Even if Bungie addresses rewards, these players are tired of getting stomped in most matches and won't re-engage, period. I mentioned this in March, but the only true fix is to eliminate the whole notion of ultra competitive in all of PvP. Make games more about having fun, make games more about player skill at a fixed point in time, not all of the game's lifespan. Additionally, move the game to a point-based system instead of win-based. This will address so many problems with Trials. Alright, so what else is there to talk about? Guardian games? So what? Adding on to the season of competition, Bungie has created the Guardian games to prove what class is the best. What? Who the hell cares? The amount of the player base that is even remotely interested in this false competition of the classes is so minimal that I'm honestly surprised you even bothered to humor these people, Bungie. And then, not only did you have the bright idea that you'd make the tower decorated with the winning class's insignia for the next year, and a class item for bragging rights, you made the whole event more bounties! Really? More bounties? In a time when players have been slamming you non-stop for months on end about bounties as being dull, repetitive, and boring. Oh, and then have you heard about the exploit people? Players deleting their titans, because that's the least preferred class by the way, to redo medals in the same day just to get done with the triumphs more quickly? Yeah, that's a totally legitimate competition you have there, Bungie. The results of this competition are already flawed and are going to be criticized for the remainder of the year. So at this point, you might as well just do away with the whole decorated for the next year thing and the class item. It'll only be a source of more community anger. Just get rid of it, Bungie. Don't ever do something stupid like this again. Revelry 2.0 would have been much better, especially at this time. The only redeeming aspect to this event is the heir apparent exotic HMG, which surprisingly is a really good exotic Bungie has introduced in this time. Obviously, having enemy weapons placed in our hands, that's always a good move in my eyes. Please keep doing this, Bungie. I'm just very disappointed that this wasn't a secret quest or one of those 20-minute missions. The weapon itself is perfectly fine. Honestly, a good grab in my opinion. This time around, it's just the activity that was flawed. So, looking ahead, I'm pretty much done with Season 10 outside of any major events that'll pop up, but my doubts are pretty much there that this is it. This is really a good season to sit out and play other games that you've been neglecting, folks. If you're looking for a looter experience, I would highly recommend giving Division 2 a play. It'll give you a lot of Destiny vibes and that looter feel that you're missing. I have one more Destiny video in the pipeline that'll be coming soon. This will be focused on my ideas on how to fix so many of these problems that the game is suffering with right now. The intention was to publish this back at the end of Season 9, but I've been focused on my non-Destiny content since this season effectively failed the game. Other than that, the next major video will be in June, a few weeks after Season 11 are underway, so I'll give my closing thoughts on Season 10 and initial Season 11 thoughts. So, to wrap up, Season 10, no major improvements from my last video, and in many ways have honestly degraded further with the alteration to Pinnacle drops, effectively eliminating the prestige of all Pinnacle gear. This game is once more entering a period of casualification, with way too much of a focus on PvP and competition in a time where in-game PvE focus really needs to be pushed further forward. Grandmaster was a complete failure, as anticipated, and I'm disappointed Bungie even pushed this out. Trials is also in a failed state, and even with the suggested changes Bungie has put forth in the latest TWAB, this playlist will not improve without any major changes to the experience as a whole to reduce high skill stomping. Guardian Games is already broken in terms of what the event was trying to accomplish, and Bungie wasted the opportunity to make the game more enjoyable for the short term with Revelry 2.0. Season 10 as a whole has no rating improvement from the last video, and this will likely retain the 3 out of 10 at the close of the season. Season 6 and Season 10 will go down as colossal failures for Destiny 2. Season 11 really needs to reverse the course in a major fashion. I don't doubt that this season alone will hurt Season Pass sales for Year 4 for Bungie. So, all in all, that's all I've got, folks. It's the midway of Season 10. Again, I do hope that Bungie takes this criticism not as ranting, but as critical feedback meant to drive the game in a more positive direction. I want this game to do well. I've engaged with it since D1's launch. I'd love to continue to support it moving forward, but some of these decisions continue to make me question my support of it. And that's all she wrote, folks. Feel free to share your thoughts as well if you've tagged along for the video for this point. Thanks a lot. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you all next time. Farewell.